I actually feel it's based off circumstances. I don't think anybody would choose poverty. I mean, I don't know what kind of choice that would be.
It's definitely like a multi-headed serpent that you're dealing with here. There's not just one answer that you could just like magically, make everything go away with.
I think we need a lot of more people to lift people up and to walk with them through their situations to get them out of poverty.
What do you guys hear from people about why they don't engage, or what do you think?
I think it's fear. It's fear of all of the presuppositions and the assumptions that people make and saying that, well, I've been burned by the poor, you experienced that, Tim, in your community, and they don't believe that people can change. And that hinders. I think another hindrance would be that they don't see instant improvement. So if you are walking with someone who's poor and you're like, okay, I've done this for you, I've done all these things that really should have connected with you, and I don't see any changes. Therefore, I'm wasting my time. And that's the problem, wasting your time. I think God calls us to invest in people's lives, and it's by His grace and by His Spirit that we're able to stay with them. And it's the Spirit of God that changes hearts, not man. And so we have to believe that. So lots of prayer. We have to do a lot of praying into the process, and we have to be patient. But I think it's fear, and I think it's not seeing enough results quick in a timely fashion.
And I think the next piece is that many times people who want to serve, they have a lot of misperceptions. And I think ministries like Shepherd are beginning to figure out that that it's the volunteers that are going to do the real work. And so our ministry has to be about pouring our resources into the volunteers to make them effective.
That's important.
And in education and training and I remember years ago when we implemented at Gyro Sports, we implemented an 8-hour orientation process for volunteers. And people said we were crazy. That's too long. People won't commit to that time frame. And we also made them pay for their own background checks and things like that. And people said, well, they're not going to do that. And this was almost 20 years ago. And the reality is we probably saw fewer volunteers go through the orientation than we would have if it had been an hour. But our retention was far, far better. The commitment of the volunteers was we saw dramatic improvement of that because they didn't come in naive, they came in knowing what to expect. And they knew, because they had been told, this is going to take a really long time. And if you're going to commit to mentor a child, you have to understand that a mentoring relationship, studies show that if you're not going to mentor a child for 18 months, you shouldn't start at all. Because if it's less than that period of time and you stop, it actually, in the long run, does more damage to the child because it, again, enforces the belief that they can't trust anybody and they're going to be abandoned and no one will stick around. So if you're going to do this, please know up front that you're going to hurt this child if you quit. And, so don't do it. But those who did it were committed. And I think we saw great improvement. And I think any ministry that, we have to have volunteers. The reality of the economic reality of the world we live in today is that there's never going to be enough money to hire enough people to mentor every poor kid on the east side of Indianapolis. But that doesn't mean there aren't enough volunteers out there that could do it. But they need to be trained.
Absolutely.
So we need to pour our resources into them as well.
I love that. That's good. I see, back to a point you made a minute ago, that even that MBA student who it would have been easy to think nothing I'm doing is applicable to helping people in this context, but I've seen multiple businesses even really grab a hold of the idea of what can we offer, how can we serve. Right now there's Rolls-Royce has a group of staff that come over and teach aviation club at Shepherd, an after-school program. And so it might have been hard to think about, I'm sure they don't normally design after-school clubs in their spare time. And so it would have been easy to say, my work as a aviation engineer has no applicability to a kid in the inner city of Indianapolis. But they were able to kind of look past that and ask themselves even, what do I have to give back? How can I contribute? And created this club. And there's been other businesses that invest in a similar way, giving their time, creating relationships, and offering a unique skill, which is an asset. It's asset building for a kid to learn in this perspective. He or she's not going to learn that otherwise, likely. And so they're building rockets and shooting off rockets in the parking lot. And that wouldn't have happened without some volunteers from Rolls-Royce saying, I've got some time and I think I can share something that I've learned. And I just love those kind of opportunities, creative solutions, again, to sharing what a skill and an ability that someone has, and sharing those with kids.
Yeah. I mean, the old way of thinking would have said to that MBA student, well, you obviously have some talent in business. Why don't you go out and get into the business world and make a lot of money, and then you can contribute to your money. And we would say, so give us your treasure, and let us do the work. And now it is, come and use your talent.
Yeah.
And I think that's making all the difference in the world.
Yeah.